Jesus gives this temple destruction prophecy, okay, before his crucifixion, probably the last 6 months of his life. And these are the occurrences of the temple prophecy. You can read these for yourself. You might want to make note of them. There's four occurrences in the New Testament. Luke 19:41 through 45, he starts the temple prophecy as he approaches Jerusalem from Jericho, and whereupon afterwards he casts out money changers from the temple. Again in Luke 21, 1 through 7, Jesus was watching rich men casting their tithes into the temple along with the widow's mite. That's what he was watching. He gives this prophecy again. And then after being in the temple, after preaching in the temple, and criticizing the scribes and the Pharisees, he's given a tour of the temple buildings by his disciples as they climb the Mount of Olives. And that is the fourth occurrence in Scripture, Mark 13, Matthew 24, 1 through 5. And I'm just going to go through the Matthew 24 portion of the Scripture to see what Jesus said about this particular prophecy, the temple prophecy. Jesus said, Matthew 24, 1 through 3, Jesus went out of the temple and departed, and his disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple. This is Herod's temple, of course, who built the Temple Mount complex with a lot of different buildings on it, not just the temple itself, the sanctuary. Jesus said to them, "See ye not all these things? Verily I say to you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down." Now that's the temple prophecy right there. And of course, he sat down upon the Mount of Olives. The disciples came to him privately. In another passage, it says Peter, James, and John came to him privately, saying, "Tell us, when will these things be? What will be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?" They understood, Jesus, that this was, in fact, a near-far prophecy of the Lord, that the temple would be thrown down. That did happen in AD 66 and a half to 70 AD. The Romans came under General Titus, Emperor Vespasian, and of course Titus finished the job after 3.5 years and destroyed the temple. From AD 66 and a half to 70 AD, exactly 3.5 years, they destroyed the Jewish temple, Herod's temple. And that's the near part of this prophecy. But the far part is the final 3.5 years before the return of Jesus Christ, the rapture, then the return. There's a short interval of a few days after the rapture, the marriage supper of the Lamb, and then Jesus returns with the saints. Okay, if you want to know what the timeline of that is. After the church goes through the tribulation, all the stones of the church will be thrown down. That's what Jesus is really saying. Now, here's what happened. Here you can see the ruined temple. That's a modern day picture of the temple in Jerusalem. You can see the stones that they were thrown down by the Romans. The Romans, of course, dug up all the stones because they were trying to find the gold that had melted on the walls. And it took them a little bit of time, I'm sure, to get all these stones down. But nobody was going to rebuild this, okay, except for this Roman emperor in 363 AD. Roman Emperor Julian the Apostate, that's what he was called. Okay, he was of the Constantinian line. He was the last pagan Roman emperor, and he decided to finance the rebuilding of the Jerusalem temple to prove that Jesus' temple prophecy was false. He wanted to prove that Jesus was a false prophet, Christianity was false. He wanted to reestablish the old Roman ways, the pagan ways that they had throughout the empire, because Christianity was growing so fast, and that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to defeat Jesus and Christianity, and he decided to do this by making the temple prophecy that we just read in Matthew 24, and Luke 19, Luke 21, Mark 13. He wants to prove that this temple prophecy is false. So this is what he did. He tried to rebuild the temple in 363 AD. He financed it, and here's the guy, his friend, Ammianus Marcellinus, if that's how you say it in Latin. Julian's friend, his fried friend there, wrote this. He said, "Julian thought to rebuild at an extravagant expense the proud temple once again at Jerusalem. He committed this task to Alypius of Antioch. Alypius set vigorously to work and was assisted by the governor of the province when fearful balls of fire breaking out near the foundations continued their attacks till the workmen, after repeated scorchings, could approach no more, and he gave up the attempt." Nobody knows how this happened, but fireballs came out from the foundation. Many people think there was methane trapped there, some sort of a gas leak that was coming out there, and when iron would strike the rocks, it would create a spark, and there would be an explosion, and this continued and continued until they gave up. The workers wouldn't go in there. They formed a union. They went on strike and said, we're going to get scorched if we keep doing this. And some of them did. And the construction stopped. At the same time, there was an earthquake in Jerusalem at the very same time, frustrating the rebuild effort. Now, Christians of the time accredited the earthquake to God sustaining the temple prophecy of Jesus. But what's going on today? Do people believe that Jesus' temple prophecy can be abrogated by a rebuilt temple midway through the tribulation period? And many people are saying, I'll get serious about living for God when I see them start to rebuild the third temple. Let me tell you something. The church will go through tribulation and will not see the rebuilding of the third temple until we return with Jesus Christ, and he will rebuild it as prophesied by Ezekiel in Ezekiel chapter 40 through 48. You can read the rebuilding of the temple. That plan there, which looks to be sort of a combo plan between Judaism and Christianity. So people that think that there has to be a rebuilt temple and then we're going to get raptured right after they start that, I got news for you. The church is going to go through 3.5 years of tribulation. No temple will be rebuilt.